My mother's absolute favorite thing that I bake, sticky buns. In fact, I owed her some from all that Tupperware that she gave me, so I went ahead and made them today. Yeah, I did. And I recorded it all. Yeah, I've already been snacking on one, so one pan's gonna be lacking one, but it'll be okay. Do you want me to show you how to make them? I thought so. Grab your apron and let's get to baking. My sticky buns are gonna start with some potatoes. Russets, in fact. I have simply peeled 3 smallish, about 1/4 pound. You're gonna need this to yield 1 cup of mashed potatoes when they're finished cooking. Also, you're gonna need this to yield the water, 1.5 cups. You're gonna use this water in your recipe. So just keep that in mind when you're doing this. I have simply peeled those 3 potatoes, put them in some salted water, and I'm gonna let them boil until they're just fork tender. Now, people have been asking me, well, what does fork tender necessarily mean? If you can pierce this potato with a fork easily, that's when they're done. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and get this step done and I'll come back. Potatoes are fork tender. Now guys, I have a colander in a bowl. Remember, you need this cooking liquid for your recipe. So don't just go dump it down the sink on me. I'm gonna strain this off and I'll show you the next step. I've just put those potatoes on a plate and I'm just gonna go ahead and mash these up because I only need 1 cup of them. You can reserve the rest to eat for lunch if you want, okay? Let me go ahead and get these mashed and I'll be back. In my bowl here, I have 1 stick of salted butter. 1 stick of salted butter is 1/4 pound, 4 ounces, 113 grams approximately, guys. So I have 1 stick of room temp salted butter, that cup of potatoes that should still be warm, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put 1/2 cup of just white granulated sugar in here and mix it until combined. Here I have 1.5 teaspoons of just regular old table salt, mixed till combined. Let's go ahead and add our eggs, 2 eggs well beaten, and then mix it until combined. This is where the potato water is going to come into play. Guys, this has to cool down before you add it here because you're going to essentially proof your yeast in this mixture. So what I like to do is I like to go ahead and measure it out right away, and then I add just an ice cube or 2 and just pour off if you have any excess over that 1.5 cups. So it's 1.5 cups of that potato water right into the bowl with that other mixture, and you will kill your yeast and scramble your eggs if that's too hot. Okay, speaking of yeast, so you're gonna put 3 teaspoons of instant active yeast in this mixture, and then we're just gonna let it set aside while we get our dry ingredients ready, okay? I have 7 cups, I know it's a lot of flour, 7 cups of King Arthur's unbleached all-purpose flour going in the bowl of my mixer here, and then we are simply going, that's it for dry ingredients. We already put the salt in there, so that's it. Essentially, your yeast has been proofing and your mixture over here, it should be a little bit foamy and frothy. We're gonna go ahead and add that to the bowl. Okay guys, we're simply gonna mix this now. You can hand knead this if you want to. It'll take a lot more time and this machine will do it much quicker for me. We're gonna mix this until it's smooth and elastic, meaning that the dough will simply bounce back when you depress it with your finger a little bit. Let me get it there and I'll show you what it should look like. I like to finish these off by just doing a little bit of hand kneading at the end. So maybe, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 minutes, just to really make sure that that's all incorporated well and then it's nice and springy. Here's what my dough looks like. When I press that in, it's going to spring back, okay? That's what we're looking for. I've oiled my bowl. I'm just gonna place it inside there, and then I'm just going to cover with some cling wrap, if I can find it. Anyways, I'm gonna find my cling wrap, and then I'm gonna cover this. And I'm also, I don't know if you guys can see right there, I have my food warming mat out. Yesterday I made a video to see if it would proof my dough quicker, and in fact it did by about 25 minutes. So I'm gonna cover this and go ahead and let it sit over there until it doubles in bulk. Ladies and gentlemen, my dough has in fact doubled in size. It took about 50 minutes for that to happen. Now remember guys, it's gonna take longer. I had mine on a food warming mat, so it's gonna take longer for your dough to double. And even if it takes an hour and a half, stick with it. It should double as long as your yeast is active and you haven't killed it with hot water. It should double. I know a lot of some of you kind of give up if it's not doubled within the time frame a certain person tells you. Don't. Just sit on it for a little bit longer. What we're going to do now is we're going to deflate this dough and we're going to recover it and we're going to stick it in the refrigerator for an hour. A few questions I know you're going to have. Why are we putting the dough in the refrigerator? Well, we're putting it in the refrigerator to kind of slow down the proofing of the dough, the fermentation of the dough, and it will allow the flavor of the dough to enhance a little bit, and it's going to help with the texture some. Another question, can I do this a day before and then finish it off the day of? Absolutely. This dough will be fine in the refrigerator overnight, and you can finish it off Christmas morning or whenever you want to enjoy them. Okay, I'm waiting on that dough and we'll come back and we'll finish it up, okay? My pan's prepared. My dough is almost ready to come out of the refrigerator. I have 3 cake pans that I've lined a little bit of parchment paper. It's just insurance that these sticky buns are gonna come out looking beautiful. I'm going to simply add about a cup of walnuts. You guys don't need to use nuts. In fact, I'm gonna leave 1 pan without nuts because my dad can't eat them. So if you're doing all 3 pans with nuts, you're looking for about a cup and a half of nuts, about a half a cup per pan. Let me go ahead and chop these up and I'll come back to you. I don't want these to be really fine. I just want them to not be whole anymore, basically. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a half a cup of each of these nuts in the 2 of my pans here. Now I want a half a cup of light brown sugar per pan, okay? So you're gonna need a cup and a half total. And I'm just gonna simply sprinkle that in all these pans. Now I have some water. So I have my walnuts, my brown sugar, and I'm going to just put enough water on this to make sure that the sugar mixture is pretty wet. I'll let you know exactly how much I use. I have almost a half a cup in here. I've lightly surfaced my working area here, and I'm gonna roll this out to about a half an inch thick. This dough is not overly sticky, so you don't have to put a ton of flour on it, but you're gonna wanna lightly dust the top for rolling out also. You're looking for a rectangular shape on this. You guys can square it off once you get it rolled out to about a half an inch thick. 2 sticks of room temp butter, soft enough so it's very easily spreadable. You're gonna go ahead and spread it all over your dough. All right, my butter is spread all over my dough. I'm going to take 2 cups of white granulated sugar and just sprinkle this all over that buttered dough. Cinnamon. You can just measure with your heart here, guys. That's what I do. I just sprinkle it, and I like cinnamon, so I do put quite a bit. You can just put however much you'd like. Just go ahead and sprinkle that right on top of your sugar mixture here. And then it's time to get rolling. I just squared off my edges a little bit. Now I'm going to start at the long side. Just going to
My sister called and cut off my audio. Start at the long side of your dough and roll.
Rolled up here. Sorry, I've got a helper, guys. I'm sorry. I am just going to simply cut these in about 2-inch pieces. And I know you guys can cut before you roll. It's fine to me. They spring back. So I am going to go ahead and divide these up into my pans, and I'll be back. My pans, they got 6 sticky buns apiece. You could get more, you could get less, depending on the thickness that you cut them. I'm going to simply cover these, and I'm going to let them just sit on my counter, or actually my food mat warmer, for probably a half an hour, and then we're going to throw them in the oven. All right, my sticky buns, they've not quite doubled in size, and that's what I'm looking for here. Took about 30 minutes on my food warming mat. I am going to stick this in a 350-degree oven, all 3 pans, at the same time. My sticky buns took about 30 minutes in the oven, in fact, and you're gonna wanna rotate them about every 10 minutes so they have even browning, even heating in the oven, okay, guys? Now, you have to just run a knife around the outside of these just to ensure that they're gonna come out in one piece. And then we are going to immediately invert these onto whatever plate, serving platter you'd like. I just simply like to take a plate, put it on top of my pan, and flip. Let's see how it works. Beautiful. As you can see, this is the non-nut pan, okay? Let me go ahead and get the rest of these done, and I'll be right back. All right, with nuts, without nuts. Look at how beautiful they are. Aren't they absolutely stunning? Okay, guys, I just took them out of the oven, all right? 350 degrees. I'm not about to take a bite, but what I will do is I'll let them cool, and I'll show you a clip of it in the beginning, all right? That's all I have for you today, guys, and thanks for baking with me. We'll see you soon.